Welcome to another episode of Paranormal, the New Normal. I'm your host, as always, Jeremy, here trying to make the world seem a little more normal. And will we accomplish that tonight? Unlikely, but I'm okay with that because a normal world is a boring world. But to introduce my guests who are going to join me for the craziness tonight, they are the host of Be Afraid of the Dark podcast, Brittany and Tori, and I am so happy to have them on. How you ladies doing tonight?
We are doing really good tonight.
So good.
Yeah, super excited to be here.
Super excited to have you. I will say you're not my first, for lack of a better word, threesome on this podcast, but I think you're the second. So there we go. That works for me. And it's always more fun when it's more than one guest. It just is. I can't explain it.
We love to talk paranormal with other people.
Right,
so.
yeah. And you know what they say, three's a party, so.
Exactly. Which, my first question, always, and you both can answer in whichever order you want, because I don't know which one you want to go first, but what got you into the paranormal?
For me, my family's always kind of been into the paranormal. Grew up watching, the ghost shows on TV, talking about ghost stories with, my family and things they've experienced, and then having my own experience later on.
Yeah, and mine would be the death of my mother. After she passed, I started having experiences from there and growing and learning that I am a paranormal magnet.
Yes.
And it kind of brought us together.
Yeah.
So, you both and hello Irene, nice to have you here tonight. But which that kind of brings me almost to my second question, because you both kind of touched on it a little bit. But first things first, you guys knew each other before this, or did you meet each other through the paranormal?
Oh, we definitely knew each other before this. We were already best friends.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's, of course, I mean, that just makes friendships even better when you have a topic like this to go into.
Oh, yeah. We've always loved it, and we both had our spiritual awakening when we met each other. So it was kind of meant to be.
Yeah.
Exactly. Spirit mates in a way, almost. But
yeah. We've been told once before that we're soul bounded, that every life we go through, our souls have always found each other.
Interesting. I love that past life theory always when it comes up, and we may delve into that in a little bit. But the second question and last formal question I ask everybody on the show is, and you both kind of touched on it, like I said, what experiences have you had with the paranormal?
Do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. I've had experiences ranging from normal okay to super negative. They started out positive, and then I was in high school and I was stupid, and I went to it's like an urban legend place here in Michigan where we live, and that's where I had my experience with true pure evil. I swear I looked into the devil's eyes.
Ooh.
Kind of experience. I heard children's laughter. I heard this deep dark growl, and right ahead of me were just these piercing red eyes that just tried to follow you, but once you got past a certain point, it's it couldn't go any further. And it was just truly terrifying. And even talking about it still gives me chills to this day, because the actual fear that I felt, I was that is not human.
Yeah.
That is not just an evil. I'm that is the devil himself. I have never felt so scared in my life. And then now I have a resident ghost named Harold, and he just annoys me all the time. So...
Well, first things first, hello, Ashley. Glad to see you watching this one as well. And it's funny, you're my second guest on the show to swear that they've had encounters with the actual devil. And I fully believe it. I mean, as much as I am not religious in the slightest, I fully believe it. Because, I mean, I always doubt the existence until I heard some of these stories come out of people's mouths. And I'm like,
right.
I could tell they're not lying. Like it's simple enough to
Right.
tell. Like they're not making it up. Like the pure fear in their voice almost when they tell it to this day is just.
It's I get like shaky because it's like I can see it in my mind all over again. And like at that time, I went to like I was a cradle Catholic. That's how I was raised. So I mean, I'm running in this woods trying to go back without it making any noise besides my footsteps, and I'm like praying my with my rosary. I'm like saying all the prayers, and I'm still not even feeling protected at this point. I'm like, this is like bigger than me. This is I want out, and I never went back, and I tell everyone, do not go. 10 out of 10 recommend don't go.
I mean, you either saw the devil or, well, I mean, you heard children's laughter and then saw red eyes. You might see Pennywise too. Who knows?
I mean, who knows? I don't like clowns either, and neither does
Yeah,
Britt. So
no.
I mean, either way, we're pretty much like, are we good to swear on here?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Okay, yeah, both of us would be royally fucked.
Well, as a juggalo, I will not take that personally, but just saying, just saying. Since you're from Michigan, I had to bring it up at some point, but
That's fair.
That's fair.
But yeah, and then I had my first encounter when I was like 9, like 4th grade age. My great grandmother passed, and we were out at her house, and she died in a really peaceful way. But as a kid, and I had grown up watching the scary movies and stuff like that, I went and I was just like, I just want like a sign that you're okay, like something, like if you're still here with us. And when I was standing just outside her bedroom door, like growing up, I was always like a fanatic for like my grandparents and parents like playing with my hair. So standing outside her bedroom door, all of a sudden I felt my hair rise from behind my head and kind of like my ponytail tighten, like someone was messing with my hair. So that was just like my sign from her, all the way up until just little things here and there, up until my apartment now is haunted.
Oh God, is it haunted?
Yeah, we have like, not sure if I always get the feeling that it's a male spirit. But not sure if he's like good, evil, or just kind of there, because sometimes he scares the living crap out of me. While other times, like, it almost seems like he's helping us.
He just vibing, but also creeping.
Yeah. Vibing with creeps.
oof. I mean, it's funny because I actually live in a haunted house too. I just recently bought my first. Oh, recently, like a little over a year ago, I bought this house, my first house, and all of a sudden, like my wife and my now wife and her father are up here doing repairs one weekend. I was staying in my old place still because I wanted to sleep in the bed actually. I know, call me an asshole if you want, but
I would too. So,
right. Well, there you go. But my wife was all pissed about it. But I mean, anyway, we like the next day. She's like, we saw and heard some weird things in this house last night. I mean, we were drinking and smoking, but we heard we saw some weird things and heard some strange things as well. It's like, all right, I'm like, all right, maybe it was a fluke. And then like, we move in fully and come to find out, it's not no damn fluke. I've had paranormal investigators in this house. I'm in talks with a clairvoyant to have the house cleared eventually once I have enough money to do it. But and I mean, because apparently it's the original owner of the house who built it that just likes to hang around, and he likes the garage, and he apparently hates animals in his house. We've had some dead chickens. We've had our dog literally screaming like she's being killed, but you go get her and she just runs in the house. There's nothing wrong with her. So,
oh goodness, that's awful.
I know, that is not what you want.
No, especially with 2 young kids, as you just saw the one before we went live. But yeah, it's not something you want, and it's just, I don't know. I personally, it doesn't bother me. I am not very sensitive to these things. My wife is. I'm not. And that's why it made me think of it when you talk about the hair tugging, because something in the basement is like tugged at my wife's hair or like rubbed her shoulder, and it's like kind of creepy because we know it's a male ghost. So it's like, I'm like, come on, dude, come out. You want some? But like nothing ever happens, of course. But
So, I like to call him my resident ghost. Like I said, we named him Harold. He doesn't like my husband very much because my husband makes fun of him.
Oh, yeah,
so
they tell you not to do that.
He plays a lot of tricks on my husband, and he's still a skeptic, even though he made his shit go flying from one end of the counter to the other. And I'm like, okay, yep. He's totally not real. And he messes with Brittany and I all the time when we're recording.
Yes, between the lights flickering, our audio having issues.
He all the time.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot when like we shouldn't be talking about a certain topic, I feel like that's when he like really
when he doesn't agree with the topic that we're speaking on,
he's
really
like, hey,
lets us know.
Ooh.
Like, yeah, so he is not terrible. And then my mom's here, but she's not very active.
Yeah.
So
all right. Well, I mean, that's kind of curious what topics you were talking about that he would kind of like react to, because that's interesting. I never heard of.
Yeah, so actually the 3 topics that he didn't agree with, they're still not out. We recorded full episodes and then we went into editing and the audio is completely distorted. One of them has like a laughter behind one of my laughs.
Oh god, that was, you didn't hear, I heard that. That was absolutely terrifying when I was editing that. And then she went back in and then the audio is just gone. And I'm like, I literally just listened to this audio and she went in and it was gone.
Yeah.
Weird.
We've had like our like video recording just cut out on us randomly.
Yep.
Before
it seems to be a lot when we talk about possession.
Yeah.
He's like, stop.
Yeah. Anytime we try to talk about like possession cases or like very extremely haunted houses or stuff like that, he's really cut us off.
So it seems to be topics related to ghosts more than anything.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Or the afterlife, I mean, I guess. But it's just, I mean, possession, maybe he's scared of it. I mean, we all know that spirits can be controlled by demons at certain points. We've all seen we've all seen The Conjuring too. So
yes, we exactly.
have. But all right, and I believe if I read the profile right, you guys are both empaths.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. We're very physically empathic.
Interesting. And when did that kind of come around, develop, if you will?
When we met each other is when we like had our spiritual awakening. Yeah. Is when we noticed. I mean,
growing up, I was always like a super sensitive child, and but now it's really like we can almost like we don't have to be in the same like even block, like we can be miles away from each other, but we can kind of feel when each other has had an off day,
and we'll just call.
My brother when he was younger got into a really bad accident, ended up cracking his head open, stuff like that, and like I knew before my mom called me and told me. I was like, oh my god, something's wrong with my brother, like and I was in a different part of the state when he had his accident.
No fee.
So, and I just knew, and my mom called me and she's like, hey, so your brother's in the hospital, this is what's going on. And I was like, oh my god, I had such like a bad feeling. And like, so there's just little stuff that happened throughout, but it's definitely more active now that me and Tori have become friends.
Yeah, agreed. Like I've always, like her, I was always sensitive, and it didn't get really like feeling it until we met. A long time, a couple years ago, something happened with Britt, and I had this feeling when I was at work, and it was this like horrid feeling, and I was like, I don't know what's happening, but like I need to get a hold of her. I need to get a hold of her now. And I'm calling and I'm calling and I'm not getting through, and I'm calling in days, and like I couldn't sleep. I'm like, there is something wrong with her. Why is she not, like, I know something bad happened. And then it turned out that something did happen.
Yeah, I had ended up in the hospital for a couple days, and I wasn't able to be on my phone, obviously, with everything going on.
And I'm just like losing my mind because I'm like, I can feel that something is wrong.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's trippy. I mean,
it is, because I can feel her. It's like I'm feeling her. I'm not even feeling myself anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's trippy because like it's kind of be. I feel like there's like a double-edged sword there because it kind of be cool to be able to do that with somebody, but also at the end of the day, it's also kind of like a burden on you because it's like
Well,
yes,
yeah.
Yeah, especially like you think like you go to your best friend to like calm you down when you're worked up about something.
Yeah, but then
with,
they're
like,
already worked up
because
because you're worked up.
Yeah, they're feeling your emotions, so they're worked up. So then at the end, you're just both worked up, and then you end up like both just like
Bawling.
like in an aggressive bawling mood, and
one of us cannot have like a mental breakdown because then the other one is trying to calm the other one down, but while that one's trying to calm them down, they're ending up having a breakdown too. So it never works for us, but we always just end up crying it out in the end.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, that's kind of well. Oh, actually, you kind of mentioned it. So, you believe in past lives. Do you believe in reincarnation?
Oh, 100%.
Yes, definitely.
100%.
How do you
feel like. Oop, go ahead.
I was going to ask, as do you have a theory of how you think it works? Like once they get up.
Yeah. So, my theory personally is your soul can leave an imprint of its energy, thus, some residual hauntings and stuff like that. So, like, although, like, you can be like, oh, yes, my, like, grandfather lives here and stuff like that, which is true. They might have put their mark on the world, or they may have just not crossed over yet. And I do believe you have to fully cross over to restart that reincarnation process. So, but yeah, I think I don't know about the whole like reincarnated to like different species or anything like that.
I'd be a cat. Meow, bitch.
But I solely believe that like you do come back at some point. Like there's just too many cases of like children being, having all these memories and saying all these stuff that they should never know.
Exactly. I mean, that's kind of the same way I feel about it. I mean, the animal thing would be cool. I'm just saying.
Right.
I wouldn't
I mean, I would love to come back as a cat or a cow. Hear me out. That would be great.
I mean, yeah, cows, they both have the life, but
right,
I mean,
exactly.
I personally would like to come back as a gorilla.
That'd be dope. Not gonna lie.
That would be legit.
I want to go gorilla Grodd on the world, but just saying. But I've been told by a lot of psychics and mediums that once you pass on, it's kind of like a waiting room up there, like you're waiting for your number to be called to go back down, unless you completely finished everything you're supposed to have done usually, and then you get to go to someplace even better, rather than sitting in a DMV waiting line, basically. But
I could see that.
Yeah, definitely, I could see that.
Sure.
I mean, but yeah, there are a lot of crazy stories out there about kids like remembering a past life, like who their husband was, who's still alive, and like what house he lived in, and when they did certain things to the house, like in their past life. It's insane. Like the stories I hear I question how anyone cannot believe it with these stories out there. I mean, they're not all making it up. There's no fucking way.
I can't remember the family's name specifically, but they had two daughters, one older, one younger, and they ended up both dying in a horrible car accident. Like they were walking around the side of the road and a car crashed into them. And then a couple years later, the mom gets pregnant again with twin girls. And so one of the twins acted much older than the other one, and they'd be like, oh, I'm looking for this toy. And it would be a toy from their past life that happened to be in like the attic. And like they had never seen it before, but they were swearing up and down they needed this toy and stuff like that. They had a horrible fear of cars. And when their family drove on that road where they died, they had a like significant effect on their emotions, and like they're like, oh my, I don't want to be here, like this is where we died and all this. Like I solely believe that those were the two girls reincarnated back into that family because they weren't done there.
Yeah, definitely.
Sounds very feasible to me. I mean, that's actually one I haven't heard before, and I'm kind of happy about that because I was like, I was like, which ones are going to be? Then I'm like, this is new. But
Right.
but I mean, it's just yeah. I fully believe reincarnation. I've talked to enough people. They basically have told me it exists, and that's 100% true. They've seen the proof, and
Yeah.
I've heard enough stories it exists. But since you're in Michigan, I mean, besides bringing up, I'm not gonna bring up ICP all night, but you're in Michigan. What do you think about dogmen?
Oh
Oh,
goodness.
we have a whole episode about Michigan urban legends. It's called Michigools on Spotify, Apple, and all that. But where we go, actually, our producer and Tori's husband goes into the whole history of Dogman. And we are currently waiting for 2027.
Yes,
because
that is when
that's-
they'll return.
That's supposed to be the next time that Dogman will return.
And we'll be like roaming all about like normal, and the sightings should reoccur. So it's actually a very interesting story on dogmen. I highly believe that they are real.
Oh, yeah.
It's that's see that right there to me is just synchronicity, which I love synchronicity because the episode I just released this past Saturday was with a member of the North American Dogmen
Okay.
NADP. I forget the hell the P stands for. Patrol.
Yeah.
Yeah, no patrol. And it was with him, and that's all we talked about the whole episode. Besides a few mentions of a certain big-footed fellow, we mainly talked about Dogman because that's what he
Yeah.
does. He's been the Land Between the Lakes and Bray Road and everywhere else, and it's just
Yeah.
the stories he tells about his encounters is just insane. Like it's gotten so many listens in the last 2 days.
If I remember, was it 1987 that the sightings really?
Yep, I believe it was 19. Yeah, 87. 87.
Yeah, and then every 10 years they show back up.
Huh. Which
is like they're like typical.
It's like their air quote hibernation.
Yeah.
And then they appear and they're out for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
Just, wreaking havoc.
Right.
So what has it been a lot of like missing pets and like people getting attacked actually, or
so there are actually not a lot of
human attacks.
Yeah, attacks, but you'll see cattle decay. A lot of sightings like on the side of the road when you're like since like snowmobiling, skiing,
they'll chase you, but they don't physically they're what I've heard and from what I've learned is they don't want to attack.
They're more curious.
Humans, they just want to know what the fuck you are.
Yeah.
Like, why are you here?
Interesting.
Because in my belief, they've been here long before we have. Like,
oh god, yeah. Yes, they have.
Like, and you got to think they only come out every 10 years, so they get this little bleep, maybe up to a year, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Of like exploring, seeing what's changed in the world, and a lot can change in 10 years. So, I think it's truly them just like what there's a like in our episode her husband goes into the truck driver that his truck was actually attacked by it. It was like keeping pace and it scratched the side of his truck door. And he was carrying, and he actually believes he got a shot at it.
And he went back to look at it.
But yeah, when he went back to look at it, another car had stopped on the side of the road, and they were like, he stopped and he was like, "Are you guys okay?" And they're like, "We just saw like two bears or something huge wrestling on the road, and then they disappeared into the forest."
Hopes that wasn't a bear.
Yeah. So he never said anything about his experience or nothing like that. But he just took in what the new car had said about it. And so he just basically goes on about his life, and he's like sharing. There's not much. It doesn't sound like he's really like continued his search or anything like that. It was just like, this is what happened to me. It blows my mind. And now I've got to try and like live on through with that knowledge. But he wholeheartedly to this day believes that he saw a dog man. And he said it could like, like 9 feet or
Yeah, because
something
it was looking into the
yeah, so
the
into
window
the
of the
semi,
truck. So it was
yeah.
like 9 feet.
But yeah, and he saw like the eyes, the teeth. He gives such a like grueling description
It's
of this. Like
terrifying.
he saw it up close, and you can tell he's able to give such a good amount of detail on it.
That's insane, but it's funny. I never heard the every 10 years thing. That's got to be like Michigan Dogman exclusive, maybe, which makes me think either they're. I mean, they're definitely Dogman because they're called the Michigan
Right.
Dogman for a reason. But I mean, I don't know, maybe they are like the demonic ones that you hear about, but or something.
They could not be.
It could be the, we say it's a hibernation, but it could not be. It could be
They're
migrate.
traveling somewhere else.
So it's just every 10 years they're back in Michigan. So the Michigan spikes.
So,
they might be like, well, I mean, they say the same thing about Bigfoots, that they are constantly moving. They usually don't stay in one place. Like,
yeah. And like that we have, like, especially I'm from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So there's, higher spiked ratings of like Bigfoot sightings and stuff like that because it's just all nature up there.
Yeah, I mean, well, Michigan is a lot of nature.
Yeah.
I mean, once you get out of Detroit, but yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Well, and like my opinion on cryptids in general is you have to believe they're real. How can you not? I mean, that woman literally captured a chupacabra.
Right.
She did, and even though the government took it and said it wasn't a chupacabra, but I mean, that's what the government does.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. How can you not believe that stuff like this exists when this woman literally had the thing taxidermied? Like, there was a chupacabra right there, like, in front of you. Like, I believe that they are real. Like, they have to be. This stuff was put on this earth well before we were.
Yeah,
I'm along the same line of thought because I mean, how far back Dogman and Bigfoot sightings go, like, and I mean, I have a hard time believing they're not flesh and bone because a lot of people want to say like, oh, they're ultra terrestrials, they slip over from another dimension and then they leave and go back there. And I'm like,
no, I don't think
that's it either, but like
that would be more like,
from what like people have learned about Dogman, they're intelligent species. That was same with like Bigfoot. They don't want to be found.
Yes.
And that's not to say that they don't have their own rituals. Like, we dug up dinosaurs. Who knows what people hundreds of years from now will dig up? Maybe they'll find 9 foot tall, big boned creatures in the dirt because they were buried to rest in a Bigfoot, ritual. We don't know anything about them. So it's how can we cut out them completely?
I agree. I mean, that's 100% why I believe in. I mean, they definitely have rituals because I've heard stories of hunters shooting a Bigfoot and then like coming back for it later. Right? And they usually bury it first and then they leave and come back and it's dug up and gone. Like, and
it's like ants. When one of them die, they all go and pick them up.
Yeah, like we take care of our own. It's just selfish of us to think that we're the only creatures that can take care of our own. I mean, it's shown in underwater species and all that. They stick with their own kind and they take care of their own kinds. So and the apes, like, they'll take care of the eldest ape and nurture that one and so on. So it's not to say that like we're the only intelligent species that can like take care of.
We're definitely not. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I feel like the next pandemic, they're going to say, oh, we told you about UFOs last time. This time we're going to tell you about Bigfoot.
Oh, don't get me started on the UFOs, man. That is my thing.
Oh, well, that's a wormhole we may have to traverse in a little bit, but
that is my thing.
Yeah, that's Tori's whole life right there is aliens.
Okay, now you're making me sound psychotic.
You are psychotic.
I love aliens. Leave me alone, okay? I know way too much.
let me ask you this: what is your theory on like the origin of Bigfoot? Which way do you lean on that one?
I don't know because we haven't done a Bigfoot episode on ours, so we don't. I actually don't. I just kind of think they've always been like.
I just think they've always existed.
Like I don't think they were roaming around with dinosaurs. Like
That'd be dope though.
You just want to see a Bigfoot riding a dinosaur.
Yeah, who wouldn't?
But like,
I mean,
definitely
you could see King Kong kill T-Rex in the early 2000s version.
exactly. But I definitely think like there's a missing link between there's Homo sapien and Homo Neanderthal and stuff like that. Like, who's to say there wasn't other creatures? Like, they know the mammoth, but we don't know anything else about that. That was thousands of years ago. So it's like, how can you say that something hasn't been able to, stay the way that they are through that time?
That you're kind of leaning into the Gigantopithecus theory. The Gigantopithecus was around during the caveman period, and they actually proved it existed. But the belief is that Homo sapiens killed them all off because they just were another tribe to kill, and
right?
Because humans do what humans do since the beginning of time. But
yep.
And basically, but the theory is that they didn't die off; they just started avoiding humans, Homo sapiens, and they just hid, and they went in hiding and lived in several parts of the world.
What a life! Just hide from humans.
Yeah, but I don't think I'd want to sleep in what I've seen Bigfoot nests look like.
No.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't have a lot of knowledge on Bigfoot because Bigfoot was never like my biggest thing. Yeah. And I'm willing to admit that. But I do believe.
I was a big fan of the show Hunting Bigfoot growing up.
I've just had Lucas talk about it. My husband, Lucas, talk about Bigfoot so much that it's almost like, yes, honey. Yes, honey. Yeah. Yes, honey.
Yeah.
After a while.
That's definitely where our like significant others differ, is because her husband's like a super big skeptic, where my significant other, my boyfriend Marshall, was extremely haunted growing up. And so he's like a full believer. And then there's just the two of us.
We're like, ta-da!
Yeah, I mean, I also kind of lean towards the Bigfoot being extraterrestrial theory, which
okay.
I have this crazy theory, and I love to tell other paranormal podcasters about it.
I love theories. Lay it on me, please.
I'm pretty sure I heard this somewhere a long time ago. I can't remember where for life me, but my theory is that Earth was there, but it was so all these extraterrestrial species have like a galactic order of the planets or a dupe federation, whatever TV show you want to take the idea from, and I'm pretty sure they use Earth as like a prison planet for species that are deemed unlivable with other aliens. Hence, I think that's where a lot of cryptids come from. Bigfoot, Dogman, and they've been around since Earth has began, but it's because they've been put here in a prison, and that's why I believe we have the UFO. I think whenever we see a UFO, I think they're like prison wardens, and like they're just making sure that all the cryptids are still, or all the aliens that they put here are still stuck here.
I actually really enjoy that theory.
I do as well. I can see that.
Yeah.
I could genuinely see that.
I mean, granted, we've done that. Like, if you think about how Australia was originally used for, it was pretty much a prison island or prison continent, whatever you want to call it.
I was just going to say Australia, actually. That's the funny thing.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you think about what we did that. We sent all our prisoners to this continent, this island. It was like, stay there.
Live with the koalas.
Right. Like, it's come far, it's come far from that now, but that could be exactly what Earth was originally, is here. There you go. You're naughty. Stay on Earth.
And
everyone here sucks anyway, so might as well join us.
And to throw it a little bit even further into the deep end,
Okay.
that would also mean, well, that the moon could actually be like a space station, like a lot of people believe. Like it could be like a Overwatch for the whole planet for prison, and they built it like to put it there. And what if they killed off the dinosaurs to use the planet? I mean, that
My
one's
mind
out
just
there.
went poof.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge theory because it's like it takes what was initially here was, was Homo sapiens put here? Were we initially extraterrestrials that,
Yeah,
showed
Were we
bad
naughty?
genes? And yeah, were we put here? Did we evolve? Like, that's a big can of worms.
I want
definitely.
to
I
open
mean,
it.
yeah. I mean, the other theory on that I've had for dinosaurs is that they were extraterrestrials originally too that were put here, and they took over the prison, so they just decided to off them all. They
Whew.
went, they went full horrible war crime type stuff. But I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. I've been thinking about this theory for years and years, and like I've developed. I could write a book about it, even though no one would want to read that. I'm pretty sure. But I've
Oh,
been
there's
so.
people out there would so read that.
I
I
mean,
love conspiracies. I love theories. That's like my
Yeah.
my thing. I just love reading about them. Doesn't mean like I agree with all about them. I just
Right.
love to like read them and see what people are saying. Like I literally like to look at Facebook groups that are like flat earth societies because I like to read the stuff for no reason
Yeah.
because it's interesting. I want to see how people get that to this even though I believe that it's round. I want to see how you think it's flat.
Yeah. It's just keeping
I don't
I
know, it's just interesting
right,
to
and I
me.
think that's like a huge part of like the paranormal aspect of like I guess even if to go as far as saying like the whole subculture of paranormal is just keeping an open mind and listening to, you know, what people have gone through and experienced and kind of just you know, keeping your mind open and being like, yeah, that's a possibility that that could be happening in this world even though it hasn't happened to you, like stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I don't know. That's why I love my theory because it puts everything in perspective, kind of. But
Yeah.
and I mean, and also would explain like water monsters and sea monsters and all that stuff too, like
Right.
megalodons, even maybe, or they could have been natural here. I mean, what if the only creatures here that were here originally were like the lower mammals and below, like
Yeah.
those would be the only ones that be here originally. But we said we already talked about aliens a little bit. Let's dive into the space of it all because
There's you, boo. Go.
I love
Fly with
aliens.
it.
and it's funny you mentioned conspiracies too because we just for Thanksgiving I did a conspiracies bracket to vote for the best
Oh,
conspiracy. Definitely would have invited you too if I knew you existed back then. But
Right.
I know.
but I
We're
mean,
sorry.
but we might be doing a part two of that next Thanksgiving as well because there's plenty more conspiracies out there. I could turn to another bracket. So
Oh,
Oh yeah.
there's so
and
many.
It's such a big,
I mean we
big
we, we did
number.
we did go through 34 conspiracies, so it was a lot of them, but
Wow.
Oh, that
Yeah.
sounds like my dream.
it
They're
was
just
fun.
so interesting to me. But aliens are like my like they're my thing. I don't know why. I wholeheartedly how can we not be the only thing to in this entire not even just our universe, but the all of it. How can we physically be the only thing? There's
Right.
no way in hell. I mean, go back so like we did an episode on a meteorologist
Yes.
and he saw this like UFOs pinging on the radar and people were still telling him he was wrong, but he was watching them pinging and moving and congregating into one spot. And this was literally in Michigan. This happened in Michigan. There were over like 300 sightings in one night.
Before you continue, we do have a comment. Wally says, I feel like we were put here by aliens, and the Bible is misinterpreted. People back then seeing Jesus as Son of God because he had healing powers. I think he was an alien.
I have actually heard that before.
Yeah.
That was no, seriously, that was actually stuff that was brought up at Catholic school. That
Really?
this is wrong, but people are going to tell you. You'd be surprised what I learned in Catholic school.
But I think that's an interesting, interesting perspective, because
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it would make sense to some degree, but I don't.
I think it's more of like, I don't know if the Bible was really a misinterpretation. I think it was more of, let's create something to calm the craze. Does that make sense?
You're literally speaking to a cradle Catholic, yes.
Yeah, like
I don't even follow that religion anymore.
Right, like something that's like, holy crap, these are crazy things happening. How do we explain it to, mass people without freaking out and causing mass panic?
Fiona, stop.
Fiona, stop chewing on cords.
Sorry.
my
cat's found the cord.
Well, Wally said when I feel when we die we become a higher life form. Which,
okay.
I mean, I kind of agree with that as well. I mean, whatever you want to call it, angels or heavenly beings, or take your term, but we become something. I mean,
we do become a higher life form, and I think that people have a misinterpretation of what angels actually are.
Yeah,
they're actually not this beautiful thing people actually talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not actually like gorge.
No,
they actually look the same as a demon would look. They're just angels that work for God instead of Lucifer.
Yeah.
That's literally the difference. If you want to get back into like old terms,
right,
like, that is literally and what they look like. It's the same exact depiction.
Right.
Just saying. Throwing that out there. So
I think, I don't know about, because I don't know if I think I solely believe more on reincarnation, rather than becoming a higher form, but then that also can lead us into like the conspiracy of the Illuminati and how like they have so much power. Stop.
I had to.
How they have like, because have you heard like people that like are said to be in the Illuminati, they have multiple, like they've been found in like earlier dates. Like you can find Eddie oh my goodness, Eddie Murphy has like a doppelganger from like the early 1900s, and there's a picture of him and stuff like that. So they say that the Illuminati basically has enough wealth, so when you're reincarnated, you basically keep all the knowledge of your past life to move you further in your next life.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
The Illuminati got some major traction in our conspiracies bracket. I'm just saying.
I'm sure it did. It's such a big conspiracy.
Well, and her being Wiccan, I like hearing her response on things than like mine. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's cool. It is really like an awesome thing when people with different backgrounds in religion like can kind of see the same thing, because then it's like, we've been fed lies. Yay. But I mean, yeah, as far as the Catholics go, I mean, what they're hiding behind the Vatican there, who the hell knows? Was it like 150 miles of library?
Something.
There's a lot at the Vatican that people would like kill to even own.
Right.
Oh God,
yeah. Catholicism's like a cult, in my personal opinion. It's like a cult following.
All religions are. Just saying.
So I kind of just like believe that there is like some sort of higher power, but I believe that Mother Nature does take in suit to all of us.
Yeah. Was actually just listening to another podcast where they talked about near-death experiences, and they were doing basically this atheist had a near-death experience, a crazy, or not even, you say near death and it's not like, oh, I almost got in a car accident. It's like
I died.
I died
Yeah.
and came back. And basically when he came back, he like changed his whole life. Like he ended up becoming like a preacher or like minister, something like that. And basically what he saw when he died was that basically because he was an atheist, he got presented with all these higher powers and they're all correct. It's just they show themselves to you when you die, depend on what, like,
You believe.
determining what you believed in your life, basically.
Huh. See, I
And
mean, I've had a few NDEs on here as well, and it's always interesting to hear what the different things that they say happen when you move on to something. Like, there's always different like stories about it, and maybe that's the way it is. Maybe everybody sees what they think they're going to see, or something like that. But
right, and he basically said like because I was an atheist, he saw nothing when he died. He saw absolutely nothing because he had nothing to believe in his life. But
makes
when he
sense.
researched and had other people that had near deaths, like they saw, their God, no matter if they were Buddhist, Hindu, like they saw who they believed in.
It's
And that
kind of
was
like even like we have a friend who's in the Church of Satan, and his views on things are actually very interesting and are not bad. Like people think that it's bad. Literally, all it is like be a good fucking person. That's
right.
all it is.
Yeah, the church. I had the Church of Satan Bible at one point, but when I was a teenager. But I mean, it is like a very non what you would think Satanist like organization would
Right.
be by like movies and pop culture. But
Right. And I think there's
it's crazy. But it's interesting. It's literally all they say is be a good freaking person.
Well,
like it's not that hard.
Yeah, and I think there's also a big gap in understanding in pop culture nowadays because there's a difference between like the Church of Satan, Satanism, hailing like summoning demons and stuff like that. There's all these different like tiers that people don't understand. They just group them all together. Because me being Wiccan, I've been told that I worship Satan, which in all reality that's completely like misinformation.
Yeah,
like not even close.
No, Wiccans do not worship Satan, people.
Yeah.
Get your shit right. I mean,
yeah, but that's the thing is like Christian religions, Catholics, stuff like that. They that's what they're told is anyone that doesn't believe in God believes in, Satan or, stuff like that. So
and I can well admit that like my husband, like when like I eventually told him, I was like, oh yeah, by the way, Brittany's Wiccan, and he goes, excuse me, what?
Yeah.
And then she had to kind of explain to him, like, I don't worship, say that's not what I do. And he's like, I may not agree with you,
right,
but I understand your religion and I respect it.
Right.
But because instantly as he was taught as a Christian, you worship Satan. And I'm like, that's not what she does. She doesn't, have a pentagram and goat's blood in her bedroom floor. Like, I mean, not that I know of. I mean, she could have, but nothing that I saw. I've looked under her bed plenty of times.
I mean, nothing wrong with a fun Friday night. But
right. I mean, I don't know what she does on her pastime when I'm not with her, but that's very rare because I'm usually always with her. Her kid is, so.
Yeah, that is very true. Okay, I gotta grab the charger because our computer is dying and we forgot to plug it in.
Which, I mean, the Church of Satan was just something dreamed up by Anton LaVey because he wanted to be the next Aleister Crowley. But that's basically all Church of Satan is, and it's basically just do what you want. That's what like it wants you to get pure joy. So it's basically all just do what you want.
Yeah,
Leave-
and like I went back into I saw like a post a long time ago pertaining to like what it said in like the Quran and like the Bible and like Britt, what you doing?
Sorry.
Oh, plugging in.
Yeah,
And
keep going.
like the Church of Satan's book pertaining to on like when it comes to women.
Yeah.
And the only one that made sense was the Church of Satan's, where it was you respect a woman, you don't touch a woman, you don't own a woman, none of that. But all the others are like, she's property, you can do whatever you want to her, which blew my mind. And I'm like, that's not in the Bible. Like that, I never read that in the Bible. Like I knew the Bible word for word. Like that was my thing. And I go back in and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible says some messed up shit some places too, but
Yeah, that is very true.
I mean,
And
but the Quran is like a lot worse.
And I know personally that my family doesn't agree with me being into the paranormal, and I think it's because they're scared, and they're all like, it's all pertaining to the devil, and it's the same with my husband's family. They don't give me really any support for me being on this podcast because it's paranormal and it's pertaining to the devil and it's scary, and it's like, but that's not what I'm talking about. Like it doesn't, the paranormal doesn't have to be scary. The reason that it's scary is because you don't know and you don't want to learn. Yeah, of course, in the beginning, having experiences is terrifying. Having something touch you that's you can't see, seeing something out of the corner of your eye, feeling something. I mean, obviously, yeah, in the beginning, it's terrifying, but learn to accept that we are not alone in this world. There are things we are never going to understand. And just because I do paranormal doesn't mean I worship the devil, doesn't mean that I'm on his side. Like, that's not at all what it means. I'm completely against that. I'm terrified of that.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. And it's just, it's sad that people have such small-minded perceptions of things. But
yeah.
But we have to go back to a topic that I promised Tori we were going to talk about. Then we kind of got shied away from.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. You're fine.
And so when you think of, well, okay, let's start with the big boys themselves. Do you believe that reptilians are secretly controlling Earth by chance?
No, not particularly. I don't think that one's true. I think that one's just a big conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
I do believe
Really?
there's a secret government organization that we don't know of, but I don't think it's run by reptilians.
Oh, like an NWO type thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a hard time doing the whole reptilian thing.
I really don't believe that. That's the one thing that I'm like, I don't know if I can fully get behind it. Like, hold on and let me pull someone's face back and let me see some reptilian skin, and then like we'll have a conversation about it.
Do I think that there's aliens among us?
Definitely.
100%.
There cannot not be, but I don't think they're like.
Well, there's proof. There's little glitches on like television.
There's glitches in the Matrix.
Well, yes. But oh gosh, what is her? She's got the talk show. Wanda. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Wanda, the one that faded.
She like scale blinked. It was sideways instead of up and down.
Wanda Sykes?
I think
no,
not her.
Wendy Williams. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
But on one of her episodes, someone slowed it down on her face, and she like reptile blinks instead of blinking like a human or like a dog. Like,
interesting.
Reptile blinks real quick. There's other ones that they've caught where like instead of having like the normal pupils, they look more like snake pupils and stuff like that for a hot second, and then they switch back. Yeah. So I definitely think that proves that there's some other life forms that are living among us without us knowing.
But I don't think it's reptiles 24/7.
Yeah, no.
Well, no, definitely not all the time. But I mean, I am a firm believer that reptilians are one of the big three for extraterrestrial invaders. I mean,
I could definitely see like what do they call them? Like the gray men
Greys,
and
yeah.
yeah, the grays, the reptilians. I can definitely see those being like the big two.
And then there's also supposedly the Norse alien because they look like men from Nordic countries.
Yes.
Yes.
And I mean, every time I think of that, I think of that TV show. I always forget the name of now, but it was a group of people of Earth. Yeah, because they had like the big three represented on that show, and it's just funny because like all the humans just constantly fell in love with the Norse alien because he looked like the Witcher basically. But
Oh, what a man. What? You want me to lie? Why do you think I started watching that show? It wasn't because I loved my husband.
of course not. Why would it be?
I mean, I did end up liking the show, but
Mm. Yes, I mean I can see why, but I actually haven't seen it, but I did play one of the games at one point in my life, so it is a good interesting thing. But what do you think about the government saying that they know the UFOs exist? A year, 2 years ago
that
now.
okay. So here's
Yeah.
the thing. They released this documentation that UFOs existed, right? But they released it during when the coronavirus is super huge and super big that the Pentagon decided to release the said information, right? How long was it until it actually blew up? They released it at a time when everybody was freaking out about one thing,
Yeah.
that their release of something that everybody has been waiting for is going to be less interesting and not grab the attention and make the American people freak out because coronavirus. But you have my having ass who has been waiting and has been like, UFOs exist. We're not the only ones.
Right.
And that's like, hey, look, proof. I'm not dumb. This is more important than the coronavirus. Can we please release more information?
Right. And I think they definitely use, COVID-19 as an scapegoat to not have to.
Definitely.
100%. They use something like, hey, here's a little teaser, but we know you're freaking out about something, so we're just going to slide that right there. Solely because you're going to forget about that. You're not going to say anything else about it. You're too worried about something else. You're not going to bug me for any more information right now. So now I have another 20, 30 years before I have to say anything again.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. Like that's why it's kind of like a old fashioned, like, hey, look over here. Yeah, here's that. Like,
yeah,
well,
exactly.
If you want to get really into the alien situation, while JFK was president, if you want to get into like another one of the conspiracy theories as to why he was killed as well, when JFK was the president, he wanted to release all documentation about Area 51. And he was going to be releasing said documentation it was like a day or a couple days after he was assassinated. So he was supposed to be releasing that information. He was then assassinated. So there's where one of the big conspiracy theories were, and that the government actually did try to do something to kill him because he was going to release information on Area 51. But I believe Area 51 isn't all like it houses aliens. That's too simple.
Yeah. I think Area 51 is solely an scapegoat.
I think that they have alien technology there. I believe that, again, my opinion.
Yeah.
I believe that the government has been working with aliens for quite some time because, like, think about it. How did we go from the computer we had, right, to a computer, a microchip computer inside of our phones? That's not technology we could have made by ourselves in that short of amount of time. Like, I'm sorry, in my personal opinion, I believe that there's like some kind of like thing that we might potentially have with them. But yet again, my opinion, my feeling on it, and I know I'm not the only one, but there's just so much that they hide. At Area 51, I believe there's like alien technology, there's like maybe potentially UFOs. But if they have aliens housed themselves, they are somewhere they're somewhere else, whether
Right.
they're under the Denver airport or they're in the middle of some like desert somewhere. Like, it's not gonna be as obvious as what people want it to believe, but Area
Yeah.
51 is housing something. But what is it? We're never gonna know.
See, and that's where me and you differ. I think Area 51 houses nothing. I think it has nothing there, but everyone, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, this is ours. Keep it here. So that draws everyone right there. So I think it's somewhere super freaking obvious, but no one's thinking about that because they're like, oh, the government's hiding this area. You can't fly over it. You can't enter it. You know, all this thing. It's completely shut down. It's top secret. But why be so extra unless you're hiding something somewhere else? Why let everyone draw their focus to this one area?
Because it's in the Denver airport underneath.
I mean, it's fun. I'm laughing over here because we had Denver Airport in our conspiracy bracket too. So, and I don't remember if it made it anywhere at all, but it was in there because that's one of my favorite conspiracies is the Denver Airport. I've heard a lot of interesting things about that and other podcasts.
There's some. I listened to an entire podcast that pertained. It was 2 hours and 50 something minutes long about the Denver airport, and I learned so much shit from it, and it was so interesting. And I was like, what a way to spend my day at work.
Yeah, are you fans of Monsters Among Us podcast?
Yes, I listen to them.
I'm not a listener of them. Tori is.
I am. They are on my my list.
I've had Derek Hayes on my show.
No way.
Yeah, like back in July, August it released, I believe. But
so jealous. Yeah, I listen all the time.
Yeah, I got a few dream callers from there. I'd love to get on my show, but no way to contact them. But
Right.
and I know Derek. I'm not going to ask Derek even because I know he won't give away that shit, and I don't blame him.
Oh no, never expect. But that's so amazing. Yeah, no, I listen all the time. All my podcasts are basically paranormal with like true crime mixed in there for when I'm feeling frisky.
Feeling frisky.
When I'm feeling like I want to hear about somebody dying and having a good night's sleep, I turn on the true crime.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, my time to listen to podcasts these days is very limited, but I have a few favorites I keep around, like Derek. And it was literally hilarious because the first thing I said to him when I started talking to him was like, that voice.
I know that voice.
I was like, But so tell my audience, what is your podcast about? What do you do on it? Like just basically sell your podcast.
Yeah, so we're fairly new. Like we said, we just started late October, I think. Yeah, I think probably like a week or two before Halloween.
Yeah, we're about 11 episodes in now.
Yep.
Well, technically more if we didn't have all the.
Yeah, technically we'd have more out if we hadn't had so many Yep, and as of 30 minutes ago, we are now 11 episodes in, but we go into paranormal, aliens, cryptids,
doppelgangers, portals.
Yeah, portals, all this stuff. We really, if it's weird, we're talking about it. We've got a lot of plans. We've got upcoming interviews with, psychics, mediums, people that deal with helping people cross over.
That was an amazing interview that we just recently did.
Yeah, that'll be out next week. A lovely lady that actually is a very strong psychic medium, and she helps people cross over.
Tina Irwin?
Tina Irwin.
Yeah. I've had her on too.
Yeah, she's a wonderful, wonderful woman, and we love talking with her. So her episode will be out next week.
And we just recently talked with Elsie.
Yep, from Bethany's Home Sweet Haunted Home.
That was so fun. We recorded with her. She gave us history of the house, what we kind of wanted to talk about that went on there. And then We actually posted like a little bit on our TikTok and
Our social medias,
and all of our social medias. She actually took us down to her basement, and we ended up talking with the ghosts in her basement.
Yep, doing like a an EVP session.
And it was
through.
so cool to have a spirit talk back to you, and it was amazing.
Yeah, so we just want to get into everything weird. Like, we're slowly gonna grow, and we do have plans on getting in contact with Robert the doll and his caretaker and going into stuff like that.
That's a big episode coming up. Yeah. And then our biggest one that we're doing that will be coming up here shortly, that we've been doing a lot of research on for a couple weeks now, is why people keep disappearing in national parks.
Because we're firm believers that it has something to do with cryptids.
So there's a lot of fun stuff that I know I found just pertaining to Yellowstone. I said, hey, bitch, I'll do Yellowstone.
Right.
You take the other, like, good 14 national parks over there. I'll let you cover. I said, I'll cover this area. You cover Appalachian.
Yeah.
And she's like, good. So we kind of squared it so we're both away from each other.
Yeah.
But we can still get accurate information because they're still happening on way over here on the west and over here on like the east.
So yeah, we've got a lot of plans. We eventually, once we continue to grow, because surprisingly we've gotten a lot of love, and we are beyond thankful for that. So we're growing pretty fast and weekly. But we'd actually like to take our podcast on the road eventually and start traveling to some of these haunted locations, and even try to experience some stuff for ourselves and give people kind of an on-the-road podcast.
That's our main goal, like, when we become big, is to, like, take this on the road. Like, we want to hit the Stanley hotels. We want to hit Salem together during October.
Yeah.
Like, we want to, like, take you with us on this adventure.
I live in Massachusetts. If you want to do Salem, hit me up. We'll fucking do a crossover live pod.
Yes, let's do it.
Salem's like 45 minutes away from me, so.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah. We're like little witches, so
yeah.
We
so it's like a big goal to just get us on the road eventually. Just kind of share as much of our love for the paranormal with everyone else. There's such a big paranormal love out there, and we just kind of want to bring everyone along. As we learn stuff, we want to share it with everyone else.
Yeah, and we're proud of where we are.
Yes.
And what we've accomplished. I mean, we're proud that we have 356 plays since October. Yeah. Like, we're like, hell yeah, mofo! Like, look at us. We're doing great. Like, I'm so proud of us. Like, this is our baby. We didn't even expect it to, like, grow. We thought we were just going to do this for shits and giggles. And
it's grown to, like, we're overseas now. We've got people in the UK and Germany. And
we're happy. We're just... And it brings us happiness, and we want to share that because you don't get a lot of happiness. It feels like there's always just something negative, and we get to look forward to our once a week, and now we're seeing each other 2-3 times a week.
Yeah,
and we want to share that with everybody because we are chaos. We are a very comedic podcast. We try to bring a little humor.
Yeah, with all the spooky stuff. So.
Because, again, we're chaotic.
Yeah, and we think we're funny.
Yeah, we do think we're funny.
Exactly, and that's the point. You gotta mix a little humor with the paranormal. It's just not the same. Like, if you go,
exactly.
You can't go all straight face with it. But where can your podcast be found?
Our podcast can be found Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube.
All right.
We're spread across almost all platforms now.
We're so proud.
And what do you want? What are you in those platforms? So if people want to contact you to get you on their show, come on your show.
So you can follow us on all platforms, like and review Apple Podcasts, Spotify. And then you can even join us on social medias. We're on Facebook. We have a business page and a Facebook group that's private. So none of your, like, if you don't really want to share your spookies encounters publicly, but you want to share them with a community that appreciates the paranormal
and respects you and will love
Yeah.
you for it, then please join, man.
Yeah, we're on TikTok, we're on Twitter. It's all Be Afraid of the Dark podcast. Very easily found.
Yes, and then we do ask anybody that wants to, always at the end,
Yeah,
you're more than welcome to email us at beafraidofthedarkpodcast@gmail.com. Just email your spooky stories, because we want to do
encounters,
like
yeah.
a whole, starting to do listener episodes on like
Yeah,
just your scary stories, because we love to hear other people's. We don't care what it's about. I don't care if it's happy. I don't care if you're going to scare my pants off. I don't care if you're going to make me pee my pants. Like,
Yeah.
please, we want to read it. Like,
Yeah.
I love scaring Brittany till the point she's in tears. Like, that brings me great joy.
happens more than you think, too.
I like that, actually. But yes, and I want to thank you both for coming on. It's been an amazing show.
Yeah, thank you so much
Thank you for having us. We loved it.
Oh, my pleasure. And as all my listeners know, you could find me on Facebook as Paranormal the New Normal / Maniacal Music Musings Podcasts with group. And you could find me on Twitter and the Gram as @JuggaloBastard. And you could find us on TikTok as @JuggaloBastard Podcast. And you can find us on YouTube. Just search the name Paranormal the New Normal. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for those who watched. And Brittany Tori, thank you. Amazing show. I'm happy I could have you both here. I will see all my listeners in half a week.